Hello everyone. I really hope you are all doing wonderfully well today. I'm filming from an angle that I don't usually film from because I have had a little bit of a rearrange in my plant room and it's just feeling so much nicer in here. So I was like, why not mix up the camera angles as well? It's also a very weird day. The weather is like 1 minute sunshine, 1 minute tipping it down with rain. So I'm using my light box, which I don't love, but here we are. So today, I thought I would do a favourites video because I haven't actually done a favourites video, I don't think, since I moved in here, which was 6 months ago now. And I haven't really felt like doing one in a while, to be honest. I've spoken about it in my other videos recently, but I've just been not burnt out with my plant care. I think that's too dramatic a way of putting it, but I've just not been feeling it. I've been spending lots of time in the garden. I've been doing lots of other things. And I've just let my plant collection get a little bit neglected, and I've been dealing with pests, and it's felt more like a chore coming into my planty space and actually getting on with things recently than it has done like just a lovely fun thing, which typically is what it is for me. So yeah, since I did my big reset and I had a big kind of rearrange and I did lots of pest treating and lots of culling of my collection as well, I've got rid of so many things. So my collection is feeling a little bit sparse at the moment actually, but since I did that, I feel like I've been able to kind of look at my plants and go, these are the ones that I'm loving more than anything right now. So yes, it felt like a good time to be making this video. So yeah, I've got 10, I've got technically 11, but I've got 10 that I'm going to take you through. I tried to be concise, but there's a bonus plant. But yeah, that is the plan today. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yoli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learnt over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And yeah, I feel genuinely really excited to just sit down with you this morning and take you through these ones because I've got some really exciting things going on with them, and with some of them it's been a while since I've shown you them. So yes, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So because I've been feeling a little bit meh with my plants for a while, I actually haven't bought any new plants since Mulvern, which was about 10 weeks ago now, so like 2.5 months. And for me, that's quite good. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I do buy plants quite a lot on the whole. I'm always kind of like getting little cuttings and I'm like, no, that doesn't count. But yeah, this is the longest I've gone in quite a long time without buying anything new. And how I'm feeling at the moment, I think I just need to keep reminding myself of this, is that I actually do want to just focus on what I've got for a while. As I say, I have had quite a big downsize, almost without meaning to, but just refining things in my collection and getting rid of things that I don't truly love. But the temptation is whenever you get on top is to be like, oh, well, I mean, I love my plants, but I've got room for more. And I'm really trying not to do that at the moment. So yeah, all of these are ones that you probably will have seen before, but they're just the apple of my eye right now. And the bonus plant I'm going to start with, I'm not going to give this one too much screen time because I know I talk about it a lot, but it is my Anthetherium pallidiflorum. How could I have a favourites video and not talk about this plant, because it's just amazing. I'll have to put some clips in of it because holding it up to the camera is near impossible at this stage. Its longest leaf is around about the height of me and it's in the process of giving me another new leaf at the moment. Annoyingly, the new leaf that it is giving me is coming out a little bit kind of warped and a bit battered looking. I'll put some clips in, as I say, and I do have a feeling that that might be pest related. I haven't seen pests on my pallidiflorum as such, but I know there have been pests present in this space. If you watched my reset video the other day, you'll know that I did release loads of predators into this space. So I'm really hoping in the next week or so, those pest issues should start to sort themselves out. But yeah, for that reason, that leaf I think is going to be a little bit of a funky one. But the berries on it are coming along beautifully. They look like they're almost ready for harvest. I think they probably do have a little bit more to go in them. I don't know exactly how long because I've never pollinated this type of Anthetherium before. But I did also pollinate the other inflorescence that it's giving me at the moment. I think I did that about 2 weeks ago, just because I was like, you know what, the plant is still continuing to size up so much. What's the harm in pollinating it again if it's not going to be impacting the size of the growth? Because a lot of the time I would like hold back, because obviously that takes a lot of energy from the plants to keep it kind of churning out berries and essentially propagating itself. If it was making the leaves like significantly smaller or stunting its growth in any way, then I probably wouldn't have pollinated. But as I say, that's clearly not happening. So I think it's probably been successful. I can see it starting to go a little bit green, which is what the other one did before it kind of became very obvious that it had been pollinated. So fingers crossed, I'm going to have loads of berries at some point soon. Don't quite know what I'll do with them all, because there's probably going to be hundreds worth of new plant. But yeah, we will cross that bridge. It's just a really fun thing to do. So yeah, won't spend too much more time talking about that, but I love it. It's my pride and joy. I feel so proud of it. And yeah, that's probably, if I had to say, the tip-top favourite in my collection at the moment, just because I feel like such a proud parent, you know? But then the rest of them working in no particular order as always, but this one is one that I haven't given much screen time to, I think, since I've owned, and it is a Luxurian's Hybrid, and I'm pretty sure from speaking to you guys that this is a Luxurian's Magnificum Hybrid. It might have some other things in there as well. I'm not entirely sure, because I just got it as I say, a Luxurian's Hybrid. But I just think it's beautiful, and I actually prefer this one to the pure Luxurians. I do have a Luxurians as well, and although I like that plant, it just doesn't give me the satisfaction that this one does. I just love the, like, I don't know, it's almost reptilian, the texture of this one, and it's just got the beautiful lobiness that I love. And assuming it is a Magnificum cross, this one is going to get really, really big, and that really excites me, because currently obviously my Pandiflorum is huge. My Magnificum Regal just there is getting really, really big as well. But I love big Anthetheriums. It just feels so satisfying to grow them so huge. And yeah, this one is just awesome. If you look at the backs of the leaf as well, it's just got really beautiful definition. Like, I know it hasn't got pronounced veination, but there's just something about it that I just find very satisfying. And also, this is one that I have found, and this is another reason why I love it so much, it's just one that I found so easy to grow, and it just really hasn't given me any drama. And obviously, as I have said, I've been neglecting this space a lot. I have been dealing with pests. This is one that I just haven't really had to worry about. It has had a couple of thrips on it, but I've been just very vigilant in my checking this last week. Also, what is that on the back of the leaf? My God, I think that's a hoverfly, but can you see that? I've been getting loads of hoverflies in here recently. Should probably actually encourage him outside. There we go. But yeah, as I was saying, this one has just been really, really easy for me. I feel like it's a lot of reward that I'm getting for not that much input, which is not always a reason to love plants. There's some plants that I have found really, really challenging, and I find them rewarding for different reasons. But this one, I don't know, I'm just excited by it, and I'm excited by the potential of it, and the amount that it's sizing up, like with each new leaf, is just absolutely incredible, because that is, yeah, that's the first leaf that it had. I think the only leaf that it had when I first got it. And when did I get this plant? I think maybe getting on for a year ago or something like that, but it wasn't that long ago. Maybe it was even less than a year ago. I think it was about or round about a year ago that I got this plant. And to be honest, it's probably due for a pot upgrade. I haven't actually got it out of the pot and looked at the roots, but I can see there's some roots. Oh, I just poured soil on myself. There are some roots starting to kind of show at the bottom of the pot. It's just potted in kind of quite a chunky soil mix at the moment, which I would probably stick to if I was repotting this Anthetherium, just because the plant's clearly happy like that. I know some of you have said semi-hydro for Anthetherium, and I need to play about with that more, to be honest, because it's never been my go-to for that genus of plant. I would like to kind of experiment with certain types of Anthetherium. Actually, I've got my Veitchii in semi-hydro. That is a lie. However, I'm not getting on great with that one. But yeah, I would like to experiment with semi-hydro with certain types of Anthetherium to just try and make my life a little bit simpler. So maybe I will do it. I don't know. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I'm quite ready to repot this one yet. But yeah, I'll keep you updated with it because I just think it's beautiful. And I'm confident I'm going to get the pronunciation of this wrong, but it is the Calathea Vossfexii. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've had someone say it to me before and I've repeated it and repeated it and repeated it and tried to learn it, but I'm sorry if that's not bang on. And this is a plant that I don't talk about that much. And I think often I say the plants that I don't give as much screen time to are often the ones that don't give me that much drama. Like some of my really, really dramatic ones, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's so much going on with them. Let's rehab them. Let's talk about how well they're doing since the last time you saw them. And this one, especially considering the fact that it's a Calathea, has been really, really easy for me. And don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. You're probably looking at it and going, well, I can see some browning tips and I can see some frazzled leaves and stuff like that. I know it's not perfect. It is one that I have neglected a little bit over the last few weeks. I've let it dry out several times when I shouldn't have done. It's been so warm here as well, and the humidity has been really, really low. So yeah, it's not been easy, but it hasn't been easy, I would say, with many of my plants recently. But this is one that I grow up in the bedroom. And I know I said recently that a lot of the time in the bedroom, I've chosen to put things like cacti and succulents and really, really low maintenance plants, just because I often find that space a little bit more difficult to stay on top of because it's not like a primarily planty space. But yeah, this one grows by the head of my bed and I typically just go off the way that it looks. Often when it's ready for a drink, its leaves will curl and then I'll just take it through to the shower and I'll just give it a full shower down. And aside for the last few weeks, that has been a really good system that has kept the plants growing really beautifully for me. And again, like, it's just one that I do think I overlook this plant, but every time I walk into the bedroom, I'm always like, it just looks stunning. It's just such a beautiful plant that is so different to anything else I own. So yeah, it is a definite favourite for me at the moment. And I just love its foliage. Like, I know you won't be able to see on camera, but if you could reach through the screen and feel that foliage, it is like, oh, it is velvety soft. It's absolutely beautiful. And I love that the back of the leaves have kind of got like an iridescent kind of purpley colour to them. In fact, they almost change colour. Do you see the one I'm holding? Like, it looks very green there, but then when you turn it, yeah, it's just gorgeous. The light is not doing it justice right now, and I think that's because I am using my light box, even though the sun's decided to come out again. But yeah, this is just a Calathea that I think is 100% the hardiest out of any Calathea that I own. I've got drama going on with other Calatheas in my collection, and despite the fact that this one, as I say, isn't perfect, it definitely hasn't been a drama queen for me. I know that this one can be very, very susceptible to spider mites, and touch wood, I've never had to deal yet with pests on this plant. I'm very vigilant on the whole with my pest checking. I know, again, I've let it slip recently, but it is much easier with the plants that I've got upstairs, particularly tropical plants, because I don't have like loads of plants crammed in together in the way that I do in this space. So if there are issues, typically I can spot them quite quickly and deal with them, as opposed to like if I ignore things for a week in here, they might have gone from 1 plant to 7 plants. If you're thinking of getting into Calatheas, I would say it's a very good one to start with. I think on my to-do list at some point, what I'd quite like to do is actually get this one out of soil and into semi-hydro. I know I've already spoken about getting another plant into semi-hydro, but this is one that I just think would really, really love it. I've done lots of Calathea growing in semi-hydro over the years. I found it a really effective way to grow the plant, and because they are ones that are kind of like water guzzlers and they do enjoy a lot of moisture, it's just a really good way to make sure that you're not overlooking things when it comes to watering. So yeah, I'm actually going to make a note of that after this video, because I'm so good at saying all these things that I need to do and then forgetting about them. So this is going to be one of my top priorities in the next couple of weeks, I would say. But yeah, it's another one that I just love. Look at like that central veination. how it almost like feathers out. It's just such a pretty one. And then this little one has really kicked into action in the last couple of months, and it is my Dina Milky Way. And I know when I first moved in here, I made a video about the plants that I was struggling with. And I said in that video, I was like, this one is just one that isn't really doing anything. It's like it's just in a period of dormancy. I feel like I'm doing everything right for the plants, but it's just not responding well. And since then, not only has it given me loads of new growth up here, if I take it out of this pot and show you at the bottom, I noticed the other day that it's actually putting up some new growth points at the bottom there. Can you see? And there's another little one just starting to come out there as well, which means that the plant is going to be much fuller, because there have been a couple of times that I've looked at this one and I've contemplated either chopping and propagating it, which I don't know why just scares me a little bit with this plant. I feel like it might be a bit difficult. I don't know why that is. But yeah, either chopping and propagating it or getting another section and potting it in with the plants to make it a bit fuller. However, it is kind of doing that itself and it is filling out. And I love it when plants do that. I've got a few actually in my collection that have randomly started doing that recently. One that actually isn't on my favourites list, even though it could have been, is my Aglaonema pictum tricolour. And this one at the bottom here has just started putting out that bit of growth, and it's got another bit of growth there as well. There's another one on this list actually that is also doing that at the moment, and I just find it so fun when plants start to fill themselves out, because obviously you can then divide them and you can make multiple plants if you want to, or you can just appreciate the fact that your existing plant is going to end up looking so much fuller without you having had to chop it. So yeah, this is one that I don't know, like you just don't see it every day. And I have said it before, I definitely don't need all of the plants in my collection to be rare. Like a lot of my favourites are not in the rarer category, but this is one that is just very, very unusual. And I don't know, there's just something quite special about feeling like you grow something that not many other people grow. Like even if it's a plant that cost you £2 at your local garden centre or something, but this just feels like, I know the term unicorn plant is not the right word for this, but for me, it feels a little bit like a unicorn plant, you know? I also just love the way how its new growth comes in, almost like not yellowy, but like a lime green, and then just fades to this beautiful dark, I mean, again, in the name Milky Way, but like beautiful dark with these little kind of starry variegation patches on it. It's just so, so lovely. Also, talking of lime green, I just reminded myself there, I got this shirt at a charity shop a few weeks ago and I put it on that came downstairs today, and Ross is like, you look like a very stylish construction worker. And I was like, cheers, Ross. But yes, it kind of matches my top. But yeah, I don't have a huge amount to say about this one, but I'm just very, very excited by the way it's growing. I don't know if I'm going to have to eventually kind of stake it up. It seems to be holding itself up very well at the moment. I also don't know what this plant will look like when it's like big and mature, because obviously it's a Dracaena, and typically when you think of mature Dracaenas, you think of like almost not quite, but like almost like yucca-like in their structure, like quite upright and quite sturdy and tree-like. I don't know if this has the potential to get to that point, but if you look at the stem, it almost looks a little bit trunky already, and it's very, very sturdy. Hence why I said propagating it was a little bit scary for me. I'm sure it would be fine. Like I have no doubt that it would prop just like in the normal way through stem cuttings, but yeah, I don't plan on chopping it yet. And this is one that I haven't spoken about in a while, but it is my Aglaonema Stripes. And this one has got so big since the last time I showed you it. I think the last time I spoke about this plant in detail was probably at the flat. And this is another one, again, like pattern, but this is another one that is just so great if you are the sort of person that neglects your plants a little bit, or just wants something that's going to look really lovely and lush and not require a huge amount of care. This one I am growing in semi-hydro, and I do find that a really, really good way of growing for loads of plants, but Aglaonema in particular. I've got all but about 3 of my Aglaonema, I believe, in semi-hydro at the moment, and it just means that I can kind of walk away from them when I've watered them and not have to go back to them for sometimes like 3 weeks, which is amazing. But you will notice that down the bottom here, it has lost quite a lot of leafage, and this is quite normal for Aglaonema as the plant kind of grows and sizes up. It does mean that they can end up looking a little bit leggy, and in fact, I've got another one here that I'll just show you as an example, because this is another one that is doing the same thing. Again, it's an Aglaonema, and I did chop it back a little while ago, and you can see just where I've chopped it? That is the start of a new growth point there. So typically what I'll do when it does get very leggy is I will chop and then I'll propagate the top section. I propagated that one just in water, and it's rooted really, really well. It's through in the kitchen at the moment, and I will probably end up potting it back up with the mother plants and making a much fuller plant. And I might do that for this Aglaonema as well, but there's something about the fact that it is quite leggy and almost tree-like that I quite like, so I don't know, I'm undecided at the moment. I'm not going to be leaping in with scissors anytime soon, I don't think. But again, similar to what I just said about the Dina Milky Way, this is another one that has got a little growth point coming up in the semi-hydro, and I don't know, I haven't seen this that much with Aglaonema in the past, and I'm just really happy that it is starting to fill itself out. And again, like when this one comes up and starts growing, it will also disguise the fact that this down here is quite bare. So I think I'm probably just going to let it do its thing for, I don't know, I'm not going to put a time limit on, just however long I feel. But I just love the foliage of this one. I think I've said it in other videos before, but it's almost, there's something about it that's almost quite Calathea-esque, I think, because it's so vibrant and because it's got that amazing pattern to its leaves. However, it is like the easiest plant in the world. It really is. Touch wood, and again, I've said this before, and actually going back on that slightly, but touch wood, Aglaonema is also a genus that is not typically impacted by pests in my experience. I did find a couple of thrips. Again, if you watched my reset video, you will have seen, but I did find a couple of thrips on this one here that I've just shown you. This is my Aglaonema Silver Queen. Silver Queen? Is it Silver Queen? Yeah, but I found a couple of thrips on one leaf of that one when I was taking everything outside that day. Again, touch wood, haven't seen any more since then. I have given it a good wipe down. I've released a load of predators, and I'm like, I hope that's it. Because a lot of the time in the past, I've had Aglaonema like in with other plants that are really badly impacted, such as Alicacia, for example, and they've just been absolutely fine. So yeah, this one has no sign of anything cause for concern-ish. It just looks really beautiful. It is also a plant that is so adaptable when it comes to lighting. Like, I have grown this plant in so many spots in my time of owning it. It's been in really low light. It's never been in like ridiculously high light, but it has been like in a window at points. It just hasn't been getting direct sun. So yeah, I feel like it's the kind of plant you could almost put anywhere and it will just stay looking lovely and happy. So yeah, I absolutely love it. And then another one that I haven't spoken about in ages, and this one is a little bit dehydrated at the moment, but look how full it's got, is my Hoya Pollinaura. And oh my goodness, this is another hardy plants that can take some neglect. That's what this video should be, shouldn't it? It shouldn't be favourite plants, it should be hardy plants that Claire doesn't care for and they still look lovely. But yeah, it's just absolutely gorgeous. This was a wish list plant for me for such a long time. And I don't know why, I just assumed that this one would be really, really slow to grow, and it has been so fast for me. It's been constantly giving me new growth, and I actually currently am not growing it in a particularly high light spot. It actually lives on my bedside table next to the Calathea, and it's growing really, really well. This is obviously a semi-succulent, it's a Hoya, so it is one that I'm sure could be acclimated to take full sun. And part of me almost wonders, do I bring it down to this space in order to kind of let it grow even bigger? And maybe I will do that, but I also really like it in the bedroom. And one of these days, I'm going to get around to putting up the shelf above our beds. And then I really hope to grow it on that shelf and just have it kind of trailing down over the head of the bed, because I think that would look so beautiful. It's never flowered for me though, and I really was hoping that maybe this summer I would get some flowers from it. But again, I think perhaps that's due to the fact that I haven't been giving it enough light. And maybe, again, I haven't been giving it enough water, because this is one that is incredibly drought tolerant, and probably at this time of year, I mean, God, I'm sticking my finger into the soil now and it is bone dry. But probably at this time of year, not that I schedule my watering, but I would say it probably would appreciate a drink around about once a week. I've been going in roughly every 2 weeks and watering it, which is not ideal. But I'm hoping now that I have got a little bit back more on top and I have got less plants to be caring for, I'm hoping that I will just find a pattern that works really well, and I will just, I don't know, be better at checking my plants, because I just have been bad at that recently. But yeah, it's also commonly known as the fishtail Hoya for obvious reasons. It does look like a little fishtail. And the thing that I often love about Hoyas is that usually when they grow, their leaves will grow in little pairs. So you'll get 2 leaves every single time it starts putting out new growth. And I don't know, it's just really, really jolly and really gorgeous. And if you look at the back of the leaves as well, this could be partly because it's so dehydrated, but you can kind of see I'll put a clip in because the light's actually working against it. But when I look at it from here, you can see the light shining through it and you can see all of its veins, and they just look gorgeous. So yeah, the more I look at this plant, the more I'm like, actually, I do want to be growing it down here. So maybe I'll put another plant upstairs on that shelf when I get around to it. I don't know. Maybe I'll have a complete rearrange. I know I've rearranged this space, but maybe I'll rearrange everything. Ooh, that could be fun. I love a rearrange. My only concern with putting it in this space is that I do get mealybugs in here from time to time. I've tried to get rid of them so many times, and it's never like an awful infestation. But since I've lived at the flat, actually, I have just found that every now and again I will just find a mealybug on a plant, and I'm like, where did that come from? There doesn't seem to be one source, but I would worry that if this plant got mealybugs, I don't know, you might not spot it right away because of how condensed the foliage is. And if this one got infested, I just think it'd be a bit of a nightmare. So in that sense as well, maybe keeping it a little bit separate is a good idea. I don't know. But yeah, it's just so gorgeous, and it's one that's just bringing me a lot of joy at the moment. And then this was a wish list plant of mine for such a long time, and I got it when I moved in here, so I think like February time, and it is the Variegated Alicacia Sarian, and I got it as a teeny tiny little tissue culture plant. I said it at the time, but I wasn't actually aiming to get a variegated one. I just wanted a standard Alicacia Sarian, but then I saw these ones on Etsy. I got this one from the Eden Lab. It wasn't that expensive, I think. That's expensive. I think I paid around about £75 for it, which obviously is expensive, but for the Sarian alone, that's the price that you typically pay, let alone a variegated one. And I did feel a little bit scared because I was like, I'm not even familiar with the Sarian, let alone the variegated Sarian. And Mark, who I bought it off, was like, if you haven't grown this kind of plant before, I recommend you get one that's not highly variegated because they can be a little bit difficult. So despite the fact that there was another one that I preferred the look of, I did go with the lesser variegated one and hope to just kind of get to know it as it grows. And it is sizing up. Like, I don't know if you can really tell, but like it was about that big or smaller when I first got it, and it is getting bigger. It is, however, doing a lot of cycling. Like, I can see that leaf is about to die back. This one here is also looking quite yellow and like it might go any time. And I expect that even probably this one, once its new leaf comes in, which it is just getting ready to give me now, which is very exciting. When its new leaf comes in, I expect that one will also probably start to fade. And that is just the pattern with a lot of Alicacia. And I haven't quite figured this one out yet. As I say, I still consider this very early days. I am still getting to know the plants, but I do know that it's one that can get ginormous. It's a hybrid between the Michelitziana, commonly known as the Friedeck, and the not Zebrina. Or is it Zebrina? Yeah, I was going to say Jacqueline, but actually I do believe it is the Zebrina. And actually, if you look at the stems of the plant, you can really see that because it has got the beautiful kind of zebra markings on it, which I really, really love. And I'm just trying to keep the humidity in this space as high as possible. Like, as I say, it's been a bit iffy, but I'm just trying to now run my humidifier every single day. I'm waking up in the morning and I'm like, as I come to turn the grow lights on, it's the first thing I do. I refill my humidifier. And then I've got this one growing in this room, but it's also under my mother grow lights. So in theory, it's getting everything it should need in order to keep sizing up. And hopefully at some point the cycling will stop. But yeah, it's a learning curve. It's a work in progress, but it is one that, like, I don't know, you know, when you're just like so excited by a plant that you're constantly coming in and checking on it all the time. Even when I was feeling a bit overwhelmed with everything planty wise, I was still coming through and being like, what's going on with this one? Is there anything exciting to report? So yeah, it is 100% a favorite for me right now. There was another one as well that I was gonna put on this list, but I decided not to, and that is my Aristolucia leuconura, just because I'm really, really struggling with that one, and I'll give you a proper update on it soon. But that's the one that's been growing next to this plant, and those two have been the ones that I've been constantly kind of like looking at and being like, what's happening? But yeah, as I say, we'll do a recap on that one hopefully in the next month or two when I've sussed it a little bit more. But yeah, stay tuned with this one because I really hope at some point soon, let's do a little measurement. So right now, it's about the size of my palm. I would hope, here's a goal for myself, by the end, probably a very unrealistic goal, but by the end of growing season in the next few months, I would hope that its leaves were maybe like from my wrist to my fingers, like the full size of my hand. That's the goal. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then another one that I know I do talk about a lot, but I have just consistently been saying, I need to do this to it, I need to do that to it. And I have finally got around to doing the things to it, is my Drymonia chiribagana. And this one for such a long time was just growing in different ways and in different containers. In fact, up until my big reset that I filmed about a week ago now, this one was just growing as like 3 separate plants. One was in semi-hydro and the other 2 sections were in moss. And long term, ideally, I would love not to have to grow this plant in sphagnum moss just because it dries out so quickly. It's a lot more maintenance than growing a plant in soil. However, I just haven't found a way to keep this plant happy in anything but sphagnum moss currently. So yeah, I have just potted it all up in sphagnum moss, and I'm just having to be very vigilant about checking the plant and making sure it's not drying out. And I know that typically this isn't the kind of plant that grows as a hanger, but I was just looking at it and I was like, it is naturally just kind of tumbling out of its containers, and it doesn't seem like the growth's getting any smaller. It doesn't seem like the plant's unhappy in that way. I thought I would just try it because I had this little hanging pot to hand, and I think it looks so beautiful. The thing I love about this one is that the feeling of its leaves is really quite succulent. Like if you were to squeeze its leaves, they don't have much bend to them. It almost feels like you could just snap them. And in fact, I have done that by accident many, many times. But it has just got that beautiful dramatic veination to it, which I absolutely love. I've said it before, but it almost reminds me, in fact, I've got the plant here so I can show you. I don't know, there are similarities to the Aphelandra squarosa. Actually, maybe not so much in its juvenile form like this, but when this one's big, I don't know, when I first saw the Drymonia chiribagana, that is what I thought of. And yeah, as I say, it hasn't been a walk in the park plant. This is definitely not one that I would put into like the low maintenance category, but it is, when it's happy, very, very fast to grow. So I do hope now that it's getting really good light. I'm not going to be disrupting it again for a while. It's all potted as one. It will just continue to grow really well for me. And then further down the line, I can think about maybe taking some cuttings and doing some other things with it, playing about if I want to. But yeah, also the fact that I have combined 3 plants into one, again, it's just made my life so much easier. It means that now I'm only caring for 1 plant instead of 3. I've done that for quite a few as well, just to kind of make my life a little bit easier. And there's others on my list as well that I want to do that for too. But yeah, I'm loving the way it's growing right now. I think it looks so pretty, and I'm just really, it just sounds weird, but I'm just really proud of myself for actually doing it, because it's just something that, it's such a small task, but it is one that has been hanging over me for a really long time. So yeah, it feels good to have it done. And then I've had several comments from you guys recently about this next plant, asking if I still have it. And it is my Hoya Latafoglia Sarowak, and I absolutely do. But it's probably looking quite different to when the last time I showed you it was. Because I did do a big chop of it, and I did get it onto a trellis, and as you can see, I've turned the trellis a weird way, meaning that it's not growing like straight on the trellis. I'm trying to rectify that at the moment. I have just like slowly rotated it towards the window in the hope that it'll straighten up, but it is now finally, after God knows how many years, I think probably about 4 years at this point, it is now consistently giving me lovely growth. I've got some new leaves coming in just down here at the moment, which just makes me so happy, because this is the plant that I got when I was living back at my mum's house. I got this in, I think, my first ever import of plants from Arroyd Market or Green Spaces ID. Actually, I think it was Green Spaces ID. And if you remember, when I first unboxed this plant, my mind was just blown. It was just like 3 massive dinner plate leaves, one of which I think this is an original leaf down here, which is ginormous. And I'd never seen anything like it before, and I was just like, oh my God. But I have really struggled over the years to actually grow this plant and find a way that it's happy, because I don't know, it just hasn't really given me that much growth at all in the grand scheme of things. I checked it for flat mites several times, because I know a lot of you were saying it could be flat mite related, and I never really got to the bottom of what the issue was. However, when I chopped the plant up, which was a very sad thing to do because it did break up that beautiful kind of 3-leaf structure. But when I finally chopped the plant up and propagated it, that's when the issues kind of resolved themselves. So again, if a plant is giving you issues, often chopping it back, resetting it, restarting it is a really good way to go. However, this is a Hoya. This is one of the only Hoyas I've ever owned that has actually had thrips. And if you look, there's several, in fact, here. I just thought it was splashiness for a while, because it has got splashy marks on its leaves. But then I noticed these markings here, and I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And when I looked closely, I did see thrips on it, and I was like, oh my God, I thought this was a plant in the safe zone. Just goes to show that none of your plants are ever in the safe zone when it comes to pests, unfortunately. So this one has been having serious wipe downs. It has seemed, again, touch wood, it has seemed that the first wipe down I did has fixed the problem. But that being said, I am still keeping this plant far away from my other plants to the best of my ability. And I have got some predatory mites right next to it. So I do hope that if anything comes back, it will just kind of take care of it, because it's a plant that I really don't want to lose. It has been on so many of my favourites lists over the years, because it's just a plant that I feel very connected to. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but there's some plants in my collection that I feel are very nice and I really like them, but I don't feel like, oh yeah, that plant's a bit of me. Whereas this is one that I really can't ever imagine getting rid of, because I love it that much. So yeah, I'm so happy that it's finally doing stuff for me. I know that these leaves up here aren't quite as big as the originals, but I do hope that now I found a spot that it's happy in and it is consistently giving me growth, I hope I can get it back to that point, because it's capable. I mean, again, I think this is another original leaf just here. It is capable of giving you leaves that are even bigger than the ones that I saw. I was looking on Instagram, I think a couple of months ago, and I saw someone growing a Hoya Latafoglia Sarowak, and its leaves were literally like that big. And I was like, oh, I want mine to be like that. I really want mine to get to that stage. So we will see. But as I say, I'm feeling much more on top of things right now, and I'm really making the effort to wipe things down and check them better, and I won't be overlooking Hoyas anymore. It's so easy, I think, because certain types of plants are prone to pests more than others. Hoyas are often very prone to mealybugs, but it's very easy, therefore, to not properly check them for other things. And yeah, I can just get a little bit complacent from time to time. But no, it is gorgeous and I really, really love it. God, there's another hoverfly in here. Hello, sweetie pie. Oh, hello. I'm so sorry. Did you want to go out? Did you want to go out? Baby girl. Quick cuddle break. Oh my God, I felt absolutely awful yesterday. I was in the bedroom and a wasp, I don't actually know if it was a wasp, it was huge. It might have been a hornet, flew into the bedroom and I was like, oh my God. And I was trying to usher it out with a top and I went like that and I meant to kind of shoo the wasp away and I did it with a t-shirt and I accidentally whipped Yoli with the t-shirt and she looked at me and she was like, and started licking her lips, which is often like a sign of fear in dogs, and then she just kind of crept out of the bedroom with her tail between her legs and I felt terrible. I think she just thinks that I decided to whip her for no reason. She seems to have forgiven me now though, which is good. But next plant, again, this is one that I briefly showed you in my reset video the other day, and I'm loving this one for so many reasons. But it is my Anthetherium Delta Force, and this is another one actually that I got from the Eden Lab, Mark at the Eden Lab, that I also got the Sarian from. He does loads of tissue culture himself, and again, I got this one relatively cheaply because when the Anthetherium Delta Force first became like readily available, plants were going for like £500, and personally I don't think I would ever spend £500 on a plant. I don't have the money to do so, and I think I would just wait. I don't think there's any plant I've ever loved where even if I had the money I'd be willing to spend that much, you know, personally. If you're able to do that and you want to do that, you go for it. But Anthetherium Delta Force, this is the first leaf it gave me that actually looked remotely Delta Force-esque. Before that, it was just looking very like seedlingy. In fact, that leaf before it, which has been, again, it's been a bit thripped and it's not looking great. In fact, that leaf should probably go. But even that one wasn't like massively Delta Forcey, but that one I was like, oh yeah. And now it's giving me another leaf, which actually in the grand scheme of things has been quite quick because it took me so long to get that leaf out of it. And that was only maybe 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago. And already it's giving me this one. And I think when this one sizes up and hardens off, it's going to be really quite big. So I feel like we're on a roll here now, which I am so happy about. I was really nervous about this one because I've never grown this type of Anthetherium before. And I am still growing it in sphagnum moss. This is how I've been growing it since it was a seedling, and it's got really incredible roots. I'm sure this plant would do well if I was to pot it in something else. And I think maybe when that new leaf is out, I might make the transition. I'm not quite sure what I will transition it to yet, but I would have thought probably a chunky soil mix. Again, I know I could do semi-hydro. I'm not sure how I feel about that for this plant. I don't know. But the other thing I really like about this plant is that these random little ferns have just popped up in the back, and I'm guessing there must have been like spores in the sphagnum moss and they've just grown naturally. But I just think it frames the plant really beautifully. It almost just looks like a beautiful planty bouquet. And the ferns, as I say, were unintentional. Like, they may die back at some point, I don't know. But for the time that they're there, I just love the look of it. I really love the look of it. And again, it's like having two plants in one without having to do any additional care. And I've always said that I get a bit, I don't know why, but I get a little bit freaked sometimes when there's multiple plants growing together in one container. It just does something weird to my brain. I can't put my finger on it. It just is something that I've chosen not to do. However, now that this has happened naturally, it's kind of making me think maybe I will start potting my plants together. Like, maybe I will start combining, like, I don't know, 2 types of Alicacia or something like that. Plants that have very similar watering requirements, similar lighting requirements, and doing a little bit of mishmashing. I don't know. But yeah, I just think it looks so pretty. And actually, if anybody could ID this fern for me, please do, because I don't know, is this just like a common fern that you see in the UK? I really don't know. But I'd like more of my plants to be doing this, so maybe I'll try and divide the fern, because actually, you know what? It's not just one, there's several in here. So I could actually pot some ferns in my other pots if I wanted to just fill them out and make them look a little bit greener. I don't know, do any of you do that? It's a bit of a rogue idea, but this just looks so nice. So yeah, 2-in-1 plant that I'm super, super excited about. Again, this main leaf here did have thrips. You can see a little bit of damage. Fortunately, the new leaf doesn't seem to have been affected at all. And I am just being way more vigilant, as I keep saying. I don't know why I feel like I'm like making excuses here. I think I just feel bad about it, you know. But yeah, I'm trying to just be way more on top of things. But yeah, constant favourite, and one that I just can't wait to see what it does next. And then finally, another one that I've spoken about quite a lot recently, and I think this plant is probably like my hyperfixation plant right now. It's the one that I just, again, keep banging on about. But it is the Beonia Goegoensis, and this is another one that you don't see about that much. And I got this from India, who is Begonia Addict on Instagram. She's also got an Etsy shop. And she very kindly sent me this one towards the end of last year, I think beginning of December-ish, just because I got like obsessed with begonias last year and I was ordering so many from her. So it was very, very kind of her to do this. And yeah, when I first got it, I liked the look of it, but I wasn't like immediately obsessed. It's just in the time that it started to size up that I've kind of gone, ooh, I feel like I've got something special here, and it's just really blown my little mind. I think as well, particularly because I have been struggling a little bit with cane begonia and the ways in which you kind of grow that long term and keep it looking nice. Begonia Sinbad is prime example of this. I haven't been able to keep that plant happy, and I felt so sad about that because, oh God, I just feel so sad about that one. It's just a plant that I love, foliage-wise, I find beautiful to grow until it hits a certain point, and then I just find it looks really raggedy, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So I actually scrapped a big section of it recently. I put it in the compost heap, and I know a lot of you are probably going, oh no, why would you do that? Because it was getting me down, guys, because it was making me unhappy and making me feel like I was failing, which I know I'm not, but it's just how it was making me feel. So I've taken some cuttings of it. I'm going to try it again. But I think for me right now, Rex Begonia is typically the way to go. I've got so many Rex Begonia that I'm loving at the moment. I've also got several on my wish list. But the Goegoensis almost looks like, I don't know, almost like a little turtle shell. Like, I just love the patterns of it. And I just love how, I know I said the other one was quite cheeky, but there's just something kind of, I don't know, bobbly and fun about this one. And every time I look at it, it just makes me happy. So yeah, this is 100% a tip-top favourite for me at the moment. Again, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if this can get to like Paulensis level with like the scale of its growth, but I do feel like this one can get big. When I Google pictures of it, you see some beautiful big pictures, and I'm like, oh, if I could do that with this one, I'd be over the moon. So yeah, I also just really, really, really love how its new growth comes in so small and almost like quite pinky if you look at the back of the leaves, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So in theory, this next leaf here, which is still hardening off and sizing up, should be as big, if not even bigger than this one. And this one's pretty sizable, considering I got this as such a little thing. And yeah, I recently repotted it, transferred it into semi-hydro. So far, so good. It seems to be doing well. And I have actually now created a little corner specifically for my begonias, just because a lot of them do require more water than a lot of my other plants in this space. Also, the shelf I've got them on hasn't got as high a light as some of the other areas in this room, and they seem really happy there. So long may that last. But yeah, those are all of the ones. There's actually, I could have, like I always say it, but I could have put more on this list. I tried very hard to just stick to 10, or else I'd be waffling on about loads of plants all day. But this is the first time in quite a long time that I've actually felt really excited and inspired to make a favourites video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and please comment some plants down below that you're currently loving, or plants that you think I would love. Not that I'm planning on buying any more anytime soon, but a girl can dream. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.
Stay sexy, plant lovers.